Welcome.
to Redefining Normal. We are your hosts, John and Alex.
Welcome.
To another episode, guys, of Redefining Normal. We are your host,
John and Alex.
Hey, let's go. What's up, guys? So in this episode, we'll be speaking a little bit more into relationship and having a relationship with Jesus, right? And the key points of a relationship altogether. Wanted to go ahead and start it off with us as men. It's our duty to
keep that flame
going. It is in any relationship, to be honest with you, too. So there's 5 key principles, guys, for a relationship. And one, I know we've talked about this one a lot already, is
communication.
Communication is a big one, right? Without communication, we can't have a relationship. We can't have any relationship work without communication. We can't communicate with each other, but we don't have a relationship. How could we put this into play in a regular relationship?
Like for example, me and my wife sometimes you kind of or if you close up, if there's an issue. Mm-hmm. And you don't work that issue without communicating with one another, it's just gonna create more problems.
More problems altogether. Yeah, that was one of my big problems in relationship in general. Is I was that person that would just kind of shut off.
Yeah,
and wouldn't like to communicate my problems or anything that might have bothered me. I would just kind of like take it in, and I would tell myself like, oh well, why am I even gonna bring this up if it's just gonna create more. An actual problem or something, right? But with me not doing that, my partner doesn't know what the issue is, or that there is an issue,
or that you understand the issue.
Yeah. So sometimes when you shut off like that, it just causes more issues, more problems, all in all, and that's where communication is key. Where if I tell you and I talk to you, telling you what's hurting me, you as my partner is gonna try to make it work, right?
Well, that's when we go to love. Because if you love somebody, you gotta learn how to change as well.
Yeah,
you get what I'm saying? Because. Mm-hmm. If you go, see los dos, if both of you guys have pride or like that ego, where I'm not gonna change my way, the relationship itself is not gonna work. Not even through communication, because if you communicating yet you still don't change, it's the same with Jesus. You can communicate through him going to church, but in the end, you're not willing to actually change the way you are. It's pointless.
Yeah, and I think we'll get to some of those other pieces as well, because you're absolutely right. If you're not willing to change, then that's a whole another issue too, right? And it starts with that communication, being able to actually know what the issue is,
and fix it,
and so we could try to fix it. With Jesus, the ways of communication
was through His Word, through the Holy
Spirit, and just praying, or like praying His Word. Like you said, that's a big one. Reading the Bible, guys, is a big way how God actually communicates with us. There's times that you might be going through something, and
the main thing, Jesus also worked through people.
That's true.
Yeah, because it could be either some random person, just Jesus loves you. You get what I'm saying? And then you're like, huh.
I needed that.
I needed that at that moment.
That for this day, right? I needed that. Yeah. So communication is key. Make sure that we're definitely having that communication, that open communication with Jesus. Through that open communication, right, where we go through prayer, which that's how we communicate one-on-one with Jesus altogether. And through prayer is where we're able to actually let him know what our true desires of our heart are.
Yeah.
Like actually open it up and let them know. From there, we go to the next portion, guys. The next portion is trust.
You gotta trust your partners.
You gotta trust your partners. I know this is hard for a lot of you guys out there. Not for me, because I trust. Where's she at? Where's she at? Where's she at right now? Let me call her. No, yeah, trust is a big one. This one's one that a lot of us maybe have a little bit of a problem with here and there.
Yeah, because you really gotta trust her. Then she's always. But it goes back to putting God first. Because if you put God first, your life changes a lot. Because I mean, if you trust the Lord will guide your wife or your girlfriend or whatever you have to do the right thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And with God, right? We gotta actually trust in God by seeking refugee with Him, right? Like that's where we go, and we kind of like, oh, we're trusting in Him for everything in this world. So trust is a big one, which will definitely get us to our next step. When you have trust and you trust on someone, you are actually able to obey them.
Yeah.
Which comes to the next step, which is respect. We need to have respect for one another.
Big time.
That is a big one. A relationship won't work if there is no respect. Once the respect is lost in that relationship, then that's where a lot of issues start to be. And you know what? Right now, just talking about the respect one, it's crazy, guys, because there's this crazy narrative going on, like in videos, or like, I guess it's more of like the what is it, like the live TikToks and relationships that come out like in live TV, where they disrespect each other as like couples. Yeah. Like they call themselves names or whatever, right? But like disrespectfully. And there's this narrative, like if you do that,
you're in love.
You're really in love, because you're actually able to be friends with them. But no, like there's a fine line where like, yeah, you know what, I'm comfortable with you and I could actually joke around and we're having fun, you know what I mean? But there's a fine line that you can't cross, you know what I mean? Like calling, one thing that I saw that kind of blew my mind is this guys telling their girls the B word.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like nothing, like, oh, it's because that's my bad B. You know what I mean? Like, what? Like, excuse me?
Like, I run into situations when a guy, like another guy were asking me, hey, how's your B? And I'm like, hey, homeboy, watch your mouth. That's my queen. You know what I'm saying? Don't never say that. I'm going to knock you. Sorry, I'm changing. There's a big fine line. That's your wife. That's your queen, bro. Like, how you gonna call your wife a word? You know what I mean? Like that. You know the meaning.
Absolutely, and
it's
you know
basically calling her a dog.
Yeah, and it starts with us. You know what I mean? Like if we are doing that to our significant others, right? And we're calling them that, we're kind of making it okay for opening the door for other people to do it. And I think that's a big thing, right? When it comes to it, when showing respect, like, you know what? Like, if I don't call you that, I'm not gonna allow someone else to come and just say that to you. You know what I mean? So respect is definitely a big one there. And with Jesus, guys, or the walk with Jesus, right? We definitely have to respect God by actually following His word, which is a big thing, right? We need to make sure that we actually follow His commandments altogether. And with following His commandments, I think it takes us to the next step, which is honesty.
Yeah.
Because what you were telling us, or we were talking about in the other episode, right? That when we do something wrong,
we gotta be honest with ourselves.
Yeah, we gotta be honest with ourselves. Like, if we do something wrong, we gotta be honest with ourselves and not just say, "Oh, you know what? I'm sorry." You know what I mean? And that's it.
It's like the I cheated on you. I'm sorry, and then cheat on you again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or even when a guy hits a girl, vice versa.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Once.
Oh, when a girl hits a guy too, that's true. That is true.
A lot of times they're like, "I'm sorry, I won't do it again," and probably like a week later, it's like,
you're making me do this. No, yeah, it is true though. It's about actually being honest to each other, right?
You know, it's crazy. Sorry, he didn't make because it's crazy how many times I've seen on like Facebook when people like, I found my world. And then 3 weeks, she found another world. So at this point, they have the whole universe. But I'm saying, like, they're looking at love in all the wrong places. When you have Jesus, that He will love you no matter what.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where we want to focus ourselves into. If you guys are not in a relationship right now, right, that is like maybe an actual.
Don't force anything, because a lot of times we misunderstand love from lust, and I heard this from somewhere, which it makes sense that when we begin with someone, we think we're in love, but we're just afraid of being by ourselves. We're afraid of not finding somebody again, and only when you're single, you have time to really focus on the mission that Jesus has for you when you're single. But if you marry, that changes the subject because now you have a partner. The singleness already passed. Now you have a partner. It's between you and your partner to build that relationship, which is as one.
Yeah.
And that's how that works. Because a lot of people misunderstand that you gotta work on yourself, and they get divorced because their coaches or their life coaches are saying you gotta work on you, focus on you, make yourself happy. But it's not that. You already have kids.
You're already married. When you're married, you become
one.
That is a really good point that you brought up, John. I think when it comes to that, bro, it's the fact that depending where you are, right, we're all in a different space, guys, of a relationship, and we're all working in a different space, I guess, but all in the same mission, right?
Yeah,
we're all working for the same mission, which is having that relationship with Jesus all together. But if you are single, awesome, enjoy it. Don't force a relationship. Don't think that you actually have to be with someone. You have Jesus that you could be with. You know what I mean? Like, you have Jesus. Like, be in a relationship with Jesus, and that will actually guide you and help you find.
And when you out there dating, that's one other thing that I want to throw. It's not looks, because in the end, if you focus on looks and now you're married, living together now, like all the other things is like he's gonna be dying. So what you found on that woman was not the key. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So a lot of times we gotta have that conversation. Hey, what's your belief? What's your goal in life? Don't see where do you see yourself in 10 years? Like, do you see like a relation? Do you have a relationship with Jesus? Are you a Christian? Once you build this, you guys have the same. Like you could see like, oh, we have the same goals in life. You know what I mean? That's when that is the one. But only you will.
You know what? A lot of times, I think when it comes to the relationships, which is something that we'll talk about a little bit more here, probably in the next episode, but the different stages, right?
Yeah.
It's mainly like when you're in that puppy love, the honeymoon stage, when you're barely starting to date. A lot of the times when that happens,
life is easy.
You actually look past so many things. Like, they call them now, I guess, red flags, right? Like, those are red flags. But when you're barely dating and you're barely getting to know someone, you see all the red flags, but you're just taking them off. Like, oh, I don't care. But it's till later on when you actually start getting a little bit more serious, that those red flags really start poking your eyes, and you're like, oh man, like, I don't know if I could do this. But you're absolutely right. Why not start in the beginning and actually laying out that foundation of like, hey, you know what? Like, this is what's important for me. You know what I mean? Like, Jesus is my way. Like, are you coming with?
Or you're staying behind?
Or you're not. You know what I mean? Like,
because in the end, because a lot of times, once we get in a relationship with someone, and we have a relationship with Jesus, we start distancing ourselves from Jesus. You get what I'm saying? I signed on more when that guy said, I forget. If you do anything that has me leave my religion, I'm leaving you. No, not my religion, but hurting my relationship with Jesus, I'm gonna leave you.
That's wow. That actually takes a lot of guts, because that is crazy. A lot of times that does happen. But the beauty of it is, if you're able to build a foundation in Jesus, then you won't come across any of those issues, right? Because when you don't, then that's when you experience that. You feel you actually experience your partner kind of pushing you away from that relationship with Jesus. But when you actually have that foundation within Jesus, and your relationship is built on that foundation, then both of you come in
with
the
glory
Jesus, which is so awesome.
And another thing is that once you actually marry, right? We're at this stage that we're married. The best thing is to sit down with your partner and create a goal. Which I don't mean like having a house, material thing. I'm talking about like spiritual goal. Like build that foundation with your family, with Jesus. Let that be the rock of your relationship, and no storm will knock it down. Build that Peter in your family.
Yes, absolutely. And we were talking about honesty, right? And being true, like to not only ourselves but to our partners, and like to God. You got to be honest to God, and that's one of the biggest things for me personally.
Yeah,
that was a big thing because of the type of culture that we're raised in, and with our culture, showing weakness has always been a sign of being weak.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So like, if I show you my weakness, does that mean that I'm weak? Or maybe if I'm hiding my weakness, maybe that's the sign of weakness, right? So being able to actually show our true selves, show our weaknesses, and bring our weaknesses to Jesus,
he will.
It is key, because he will actually show us his strength. And we need to be vulnerable, guys. So we need to make sure that we're vulnerable.
And once you and your partner are basically walking the new life, forget the past. Have that as your reminder, or it happened. But if you're really starting a new life, a new beginning with Jesus, forget the past and just focus on the present. Because that's the most. I mean, that's what you gotta do for you to move on. Because if you keep saying like, "Oh, you did this in my past," but you already said you're forgetting, all right, so lesson learned, and keep swimming forward, going back with Nemo. You gotta forget the past. Just take it as a lesson and move on. Because if you keep living in the past, you're not gonna enjoy your present and the present that Jesus has for you.
Yeah. Hey, I like how you said that. That's awesome. Some you brought up Finding Nemo, a little bit like Kung Fu Panda. Have you seen the Kung Fu Panda when they say you gotta leave the past behind you and don't worry about the future, but you gotta live at the present, because today's a gift.
Yeah,
that's why it's a gift, or something like that. I don't know. I didn't quote it exactly how it goes, but that's the concept. That's the concept.
Yeah.
And that is true. A lot of times, I think we get stuck with the past, where
we can't move on.
We can't move on, and we can't even focus on the future, or the future present. On the present, right? Which is something that I think we were talking about it, John.
Yeah,
that we were saying
something that I got from. Yeah, I started from the office where the guy said, "I wish I would knew that the old days were now, then already when the good old days. I wish the good old days were now, then after it have already passed."
Yeah.
So I didn't know I was living in the good times until it was past.
That's already passed.
And I was focusing on my old past instead of focusing on the present.
Yeah.
When I heard that, I hit me boom. Because sometimes like, I remember when I was young, but it's a real lot of it, because now I have the greatest gift.
Yeah, and you're still living right now. Yeah. You know what I mean? So yeah, focus on what it is now. Make sure that we are honest to each other and to one another, and making sure that we are respectful. The fifth and final key point of our relationships, guys, is actually Jesus, God, which is love, right? God is love. Yeah. But no, love is the big piece of it, because when you actually are in love and you fall in love, then that's when you are able to actually make those changes for your significant other
and sacrifices
without an issue, right?
Like what Jesus did for us.
Yeah, like in our cases with a relationship, right? It's once someone
falls
down, you're there helping them out, right?
Like when I was in prison and my girl holding down for us.
Yeah, she was there holding it down for you. If someone actually goes to the hospital, right, your partner is there with you, to the point, maybe, God forbid, right? But I mean, there's points where, like, hey, you need to help your significant other, even go to the restroom, showering them and stuff like that. Like, that's really when that love is there, and that connection is there. That you know what, like, I'm there for you and you're there for me. That's where we reach that next level, right? And really could say that you're truly in love.
Yeah, like, once you start sacrificing and doing things that you know you wouldn't do, and changing yourself for your relationship. And I'm not talking changing yourself in a bad way, positive way. Because if your partner, let's say, wants you to go out to drink, that's not the type of change that I'm talking about. I'm just trying to make that specific. I'm talking about that your partner wants you to go to church. Your partner wants you to do something positive with your life that you guys could do together as one. That's the change I'm talking about.
Yeah,
I just wanted to make that clear.
Absolutely. And with that, guys, those are the 5 key steps when it comes to a relationship. It's 1, communication; 2, trust; 3, respect; 4, honesty; and 5, love. So, and from us to you guys, we love y'all. Redefining normal,
like always.